What's up, guys? You got us?
Yes, sir.
Yep.
Awesome.
All right, we'll start getting this.
Here's that beautiful face.
Look at that.
I miss that face. Oh, I
That
miss
guy.
that face.
Woo!
You
All
remember?
right.
Well, cheers to that.
Hey,
Amen.
those dimples, I'm telling you,
Right?
get me every time.
I don't have my name on mine though. I'm kind of jealous now.
I'll get you one. Snoop.
Snoop, you're getting a glass that says Snoop on it.
There you go. I would love it.
Snoop Dogg in the house.
Snoop and Loop. Bring a green hat.
All right, I'm gonna get us streaming in just a second. I'll let you guys know so you can. I mean, it really won't make much of a difference in what we say.
No, it's not gonna matter.
By the way, I'm Jacob. I don't think we formally met.
Oh,
Nice to
What's
meet
up, brother?
Jacob, how are you?
Man.
Oh, doing great,
Matt
man.
Williams?
We know about you. We just never met.
I'm excited to chat with you guys tonight.
Heck yeah.
I missed a call from Zach today.
Oh yeah, that's my son.
Okay, yeah. So he and I we've been talking back. I mean, he's been my go-to guy for the better half of the last year, and
Sure.
things have been so crazy that I got to call him back. That's my bad today, but
We're all that way. Trust me.
it's all a phone tag thing, man. So
Got a lot going on.
that is the truth.
Okay, I think we are almost live.
Wait, a split screen or something?
Can I split screen? Oh, there we go. Look at that. Fuck
Yes.
yeah. Gallery view.
There you go.
Done.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. That changes everything. Get everybody on at the same time.
Yeah.
I just don't know what to do. There's just so much.
Awesome.
All right.
All right. I guess should we like give a official intro since we want to make this a official thing, or should we just kind of?
Yeah. Well, we are live now, so we can intro it. I did the intro last week, so Jacob, you want to do this one?
Awesome. Yeah. Hey guys, if you're watching this, welcome to the Supplement Industry Roundtable. It is with myself, Jacob Davis from the Nutrition Store, with Justin Hall from Supplement Snoop, Ben Payne from Price Plow, and today we're also joined by Mike Rhoten and Patrick Williams from Axe and Sledge to talk all things Supplement Industry Roundtable. Guys, so sit back, relax, and enjoy the whatever happens.
Roller coaster.
The
Good way to put it.
Chaos.
So, Industry Roundtable.
So I'll lead it off. So I'll say this too. When we first started, when we put this whole thing together, we had a conversation. We're like, okay, now who are some people we want to have on here? And Ben and I right away were like, we got to have Axe and Sledge guys on there. So it's been good. It's good that we got you on right away. We made some time.
That's stupid.
What's that?
You're not
like,
stupid.
Hey, we gotta make it happen. So Ben, good job, man. It was good.
Yeah, I just it's funny. Patrick and I's like our phone calls for Price Plow. Like, I wish we could record them and post them because it always gets.
I hear them from 70 feet away down the hall. I hear them all.
It's pretty much Ben and I speaking.
And then Pat will come down the hall and tell me what you talked about. I'm like, I
already
just
know.
heard it all.
Ben and I talking. Heather will chime in, and Mike just stays in the background.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I personally, I love everything about you guys' culture, like the way you put yourselves out there with the brand. I mean, it's hilarious, it's fun, but at the same time, I texted this to Patrick today, like with all the fun stuff that you put out there last week for your launch with All American Roughneck, your patriotic shirt sold out before your Tits and Tires shirt. Like, it just, everything about your culture is just so cool, but it still stays core to really some good values.
And that's the one thing we wanted to do coming into this, and to find two other like-minded people such as Mike and myself with Seth and Bob that have those family-style values, right? Yeah, do we have a lot of fuckery going on? Absolutely, but that keeps the blue-collar mentality and keeps people entertained and moving, right? So to be able to give people look forward to something every time they see or hear us, and put them in a good mood, keep them positive motivation. That's our goal every time. It's not just, hey, let's sell a supplement product or let's sell a t-shirt. It has to be a reason why we do everything. So,
and I think we also help people hold themselves accountable, because we hold all of our customers accountable as they do us. Like, if the day that you stop working hard, we don't need you as a customer anymore. So we built a brand on blue collar because that's what we are. Like, I used to be a coal miner. I mean, the other guys did every blue collar job in the world, and now it's like, okay, we're able to communicate with these people, like our fans and our customer base, because that's exactly who they are. They may not be in shape. I mean, we have probably, we have bodybuilders that follow just because of Seth, obviously, but for the most part, it's just people that are, it's a lot of family guys. It's a lot of guys that are just trying to be better for their girlfriends, their wives, for their kids. And they're just trying to, obviously look better naked, but they also want to be a better influence in their community. They want to be better for their family. They want to be better for everybody. And the supplements are a very small part of it. The clothing line's a very small part of it, but all together, it brings everything together. And it's a big deal once it all hits together, once they become part of our community.
Yeah, I think one thing too I want to touch on is Ben and I talk about this a lot. We're talking about like bias and things like that in the industry, and not to go too deep into it, Ben, but it's kind of funny the way it sort of works out is I met Mike. I met you a long time ago.
Yeah.
I think like maybe my mom was following me at the time on Instagram. Like, oh, you're doing a good job.
I was following your mom.
Mike was following my mom, right?
Yeah.
So that's how you tie the story together, right? Mike knew my mom, but actually, like, I grew up really close to you guys.
I was so confused.
Yeah.
It's not true at all.
Not true at all.
Well, Justin, you're not far from Pittsburgh, right?
Right. Well, I used to be. I grew up not far from where Acton Sledge is.
About an hour and 45 minutes north. Yeah.
Yeah. Very. We grew up blue collar. My family is all blue collar. I worked at GE like an hour and a half away from these guys, and come to find out, come full circle with this whole thing, and it's no wonder that, we sort of vibe together and you just sort of gravitate towards the brand. And obviously the supplements are great. That's the first thing that sort of catches your attention, but then you just kind of talk to each other. And I talk about sort of speaking that same language. And that's something Ben and I talk about. When you hear Ben and I and Jacob, same thing, you hear a lot of people talking, but then you sort of like, oh yeah, I vibe with that. So like, so when it comes down to like bias and stuff like that, I think it's a good thing in this industry. You can see some cool things sort of happen together.
Yeah, for sure. And I think one of the things that drew me to you whenever I first started watching you, because I've watched you for probably a month and a half before I think we ever communicated about anything, was the delivery. Because the way that we deliver our message is one way, it's straightforward, and people either, I think most people can get it, whether they agree with it or not. That's up to their values, their way of life. But your delivery to me was something that intrigued me, and that's the same with all the people that are on this right now. Is it's a different type of delivery than the industry is used to. Whether it's super educational, whether it's motivational, whether it's informative, whatever it might be. I think everybody here right now, and like I said a million times, we don't fuck with anybody that we don't get along with. And I know for a fact we're good with the people that are on this right now, because we may not do everything alike, but we have like a core set of values, I think, that we can all agree on. And then we do our own thing outside of there. But it's just the way that you deliver a message, and that albeit the correct message, that I think gravitates people towards everybody that is at the roundtable right now.
Yeah, that's. I think someone said it earlier that we don't want to work with anybody we can't have a beer with. You know what I mean? If we're going to spend a lot of time with somebody and really get to know them, it's a partnership, and we want to have the same vibe as you would want with us. So it's like, okay, if we can't have a beer, then maybe we're not meant to work together, and that's the case sometimes, right? Especially in this industry. We're straightforward with what we do and how we go about doing it. Ben and I talked about this a couple of days ago. And, and that's what we like about you guys, that, it's just straightforward. We don't have to be somebody else. Mm-hmm. We're not going to be. And that's what I think attracts people to us. So, we are who we are. We're going to present things in a certain manner. We hold our team accountable for that. And then we also hold everyone around us accountable, especially ourselves. So when it comes to that, that's why it's so important for us and the brand. And I think that's why the brand has flourished, because we haven't deviated from who we are.
Yeah, I think like something about all of us here, and even you guys included, each brand tailors to their audience very well. A lot of people, a lot of companies think they want to try to please everybody. They want to play politician, and
right.
If you go into it automatically assuming that you're going to try to win everybody's favor, well, you're kind of, you're basically making the people that like you just bleh, and the people that hate you are still going to hate you no matter what. So instead of that, double down on the people that love you. And I think that's something that we all do very well here, is screw the people that are not going to like you anyway. Don't try to please them. You know, do what you're here for. Do your culture. So I agree.
I think you can find authenticity in people very quickly. You know, and there's a lot of content out there right now in our industry, and when you watch it, you instantly know whether or not that person is really telling you how they feel. And I think that's kind of what I love about like all of our contents here. Also extended like to all of Axe and Sledges is like, even if one of us is talking about controversial things, like if I'm shitting on a brand or if Seth is talking about sex in a waterfall, like you might not agree with it, but you're like, you know what, like that guy is like, he's doing what he enjoys. Yeah, you know, like you might not agree. Like it's funny, there's a lot of really controversial brands out there. There's this really great clothing brand called Assholes Live Forever, and their clothing is so obscene and like the funny thing is the words and the imagery are not that different from what you guys talk about in your podcast for Axe and Sledge, but it's the delivery, like Mike said, like it comes from you guys in a very like authentic way, and I think that is everything.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's so many showmen in the industry, and there's so many people that see really cool ideas and try to duplicate them. But like I see shit all the time that I'm like, fuck, that's really cool.
Yeah.
It'd be cool if I could do that, but I can't fucking do it. Like nobody would believe it ever. Like you guys know me, and if I were to come out with something, or if any of us were to come out with something that looked like a fuckboy brand, I think you'd all be like, I think you're trying to make a lot of money here instead of doing looking like that. So yeah, I mean, while I think a lot of stuff's cool out there, there's a lot of duplication in the industry. There's a lot of monkey see, monkey do stuff, which I know all of you know that, but I just feel like people that are watching could probably be a little bit more informed on looking around, keeping their eyes open, seeing what's going on, learning for themselves what's happening with supplements in general, but especially as brands go, because there's brands that pop up every single day, and they look a lot like the most popular brands out there, and that's for a reason. But I mean, we created a brand called Axe and Sledge, which could be the dumbest name that somebody could possibly pick because it's nothing to do with supplements or sports or fitness. I mean, it's just two hardworking tools. So, I mean, if nothing else, if we'd have failed from the get-go, it would have
been the worst idea ever.
We'd have failed sticking to what's true to us. You know?
Yeah.
There's absolutely no guarantee.
And one thing too, like if I could tie in a couple subjects. So one cool thing that we didn't plan on this, but I think so tonight is the release of the whiskey cola flavor of hydraulic.
Cola hydraulic, yeah.
44 minutes.
So the funny thing was I was on a podcast with someone from Glaxon the one day, and we were talking about the industry, and he's like, you know, they're doing some cool stuff, and he's like, man, did you see that whiskey and cola EAA stuff? He's like, fuck, that's cool. And he's like, you know, he's like, I look at stuff like that and I go, I'd love to be able, he's like, I can't do that. He's like, that's them. That's all them. He's like, that's perfect for them. He's like, I just love that so much. He's like, so exactly like what you were just saying. It's like everyone, and they've got their little niche that people look at them and go, oh, that's cool.
Sure.
Yeah. And he's
they're
like,
just cool too.
Yeah, he's like, ah, fuck. He's like, I mean, man, that's so cool what they did.
I mean, Sam has a good vibe over there and what they're doing. I know he's part of that, and you know, and it's good to see. You need to have variety in the marketplace. There's so many different types of people out there. You have billions of people to deal with. There's enough for everybody, but it's got to be the true image of who you are as a person in a company, and you got to stay to that. Just like they said, they're like, hey, that's not us. We can't pull that off. Where we can pull whiskey cola all day, you know, because that's what we do. But
people have seen us drink Jack and Diets for literally 4+ years.
Yeah, forever.
No matter where we go, at lunch, whatever it is, we drink Jack and Diets. So it's pretty easy for us. But
I see that. I mean, I see that a lot, even like with like Justin and I. Some people might consider Justin my competitor, which is a really unfortunate classification. I've been friends with Justin since I was behind brands, so like it never bothered me. But it's funny. I was on a call with Nutrition 21 the other day. We were talking about content creators in the industry, and I mentioned Justin, and they were like, "Should we work with him? Like, should we talk to him?" And like in my head, I saw like all the other people that do things similar to me being like, "Fuck that guy, he sucks." You know, I was like, "No, you totally should." I think it's totally cool that he has an app and he doesn't do sponsored content. Like, I wish I could do that, but I can't do that, and that's cool for him. And I think that's really powerful. And it's funny because ironically, the only brands that I really enjoy spending my time with are people who can do that with other brands. If you can appreciate other people's hard work, like you're pretty much going to be cool with me.
Yeah. And that's the interesting thing from the retail perspective too, as far as like with us and how we review products and make the content to promote those products. Like the only incentive that I have to promote said products is so that people come in and have interest in it in my store, right? So it's a mutual benefit to myself and the company, right? Should they utilize it and promote it, that content. So it's definitely me appreciating other companies when I do those kind of videos and stuff like that. So try to stay out of that realm of bias or lack of being paid for that stuff. So
well, I think it's unfortunate. Sorry, I think it always unfortunately comes down to the but you want me to buy that. You know, whether it's the Sledge guys talking about why their pre-workout's the best, or even when I'm talking about hydraulic and I say go use coupon code PRICEWOW, like you get a commission, you know, like and everyone's always gonna be like, well, it's because you get paid off of that. It's really unfortunate because we all got to put food on our table. You know, it doesn't mean that we don't love what we do. We don't.
Oh, no doubt. And I didn't mean to make it sound like it was like reviewing products is a cash grab. I mean, definitely like the value that you provide to the world is well worth any kind of possible, like we all got to eat. So it's like,
no matter what, so, like all this content.
Somebody argue with me here. Okay. Like say somebody likes our product, somebody reviews our product, somebody then has a discount code for our product. Say we sell a ton of the product that way. Say I make money on it. Say said person who reviewed the product makes a ton of money on it too. Am I missing something? Are we good?
Yeah, I think everyone's happy.
Are we good? Yeah. Outside of
other brands.
Say you throw no bias in that. I think we're good, right?
Right.
You got
as long as you throw that out there,
right? You just gotta throw it out there.
You throw a ton of bias in it, it's all fucked up.
Right. It's that word, that one word, man.
It's that one word.
Yeah. Okay. But as long as there's a mutually beneficial relationship, I mean, fucking have at it.
Yeah.
Get some dingers.
Well, one thing I was going to ask you guys too, like when it comes to the whiskey and cola thing, can you like talk about like how did that, obviously it's an idea that's kind of a natural thing for you, but can you walk us through like that sort of creative process, and then maybe how long did it take to really like get that flavor nailed down? Because it's pretty fucking good. It really
took a minute. Yeah.
It took quite a few months to get the flavor profile where we wanted it to be. But the idea itself was, obviously we drink Jack and Diets all the time. We like that type of thing. We're like, okay, blue collar brand. We're in Pittsburgh. People drink Jack Daniels all the time.
True.
Seth spouted out one day, man, it'd be cool to have a whiskey cola flavor. I think it was Seth, right?
Yeah.
And so started working on it. And then one day I brought some whiskey cola samples in. They're like, what the hell is this? I'm like, well, it's whiskey cola grind. Like, you actually fucking made a whiskey cola grind. I'm like, yeah, we did.
But it took multiple flavor houses too.
Yes.
We had because our manufacturer first went with sort of who's generally uses most of the time, and then we went to a specialty flavor house for the second round. With the first one, we were like, okay, the second round of the first testing was really, really good. But he said, hold on a second, wait till I get this specialty. I don't want to divulge too much information, but we got it in, and we were like, Jesus Christ, we didn't know we could actually improve on it that much.
Yeah, so it's an exclusive flavor combination with one of the West Coast flavor houses that we can use just because of the relationships. Again, it goes about having relationships with everybody, right? Mm-hmm. I've been doing this almost 20 years, and the relationships is what's always been consistent. So being able to do that and have them come out with that flavor combination was killer. So. And we do that with just about all of our flavors.
Was grind the first choice for it in terms of like which products? So yeah. I love the idea of hydraulic because like I want to finish my drink and get in the gym. And I don't know for some reason when you guys came out with hydraulic, I was like, this makes so much sense. Mm. I had some cognitive dissonance with sipping whiskey and cola during my workout. Like
just
it was
a mindset.
Yeah,
just a mindset, man.
I'm normally much more chill and like calm when I'm drinking whiskey cola.
Ben, stop being a pussy.
Maybe.
Tell me something, guys. Was it harder to figure out, like, nail down the flavor science on hydraulic versus the grind, given that there's the glycerol in there makes it iffy? Or
you would think so.
Yeah.
You would think so.
Right.
I mean, it makes complete sense.
Yeah, hydraulic, it is just because complexity of the formulation.
Mhm.
But again, with the EAAs and BCAAs, they're always the number one problem to flavor. So
Really?
we figured if we could do that in the grind, then we can do it with anything.
Wow.
Right. So
Interesting.
we got the grind knocked out. Once the grind got knocked out, the hydraulic was fairly simple, and then there'll be the 7th gear coming out as well eventually.
How much of grind is fermented? You know, like I know like a lot of BCAAs are fermented, but in terms of EAAs, it's back and forth too.
Yeah, these are just instantized.
Okay, because I at NutriBio, when we had new kids, like I would haze them by making them drink unflavored fermented aminos, just so you guys like know how hard it is to flavor this stuff.
Oh, it's
you know,
tough.
it's really So I always figured that the grind was also a weird choice, not just because I'm a pussy, because you know what that stuff tastes like. It's not pleasant.
I love calling big men pussies.
Well, I mean, for it to be so hard to flavor, you guys, I mean, every flavor you've done so far, you nail it down. I mean, only reason I say that is we've carried the grind, since we opened. Like right.
I remember you were pretty much day one for us.
Yeah, I mean, because I got contacted by like the original rep for it was not a good experience. You guys probably already know that, but he was like, look, man, you're going to be exclusive with,
Shut this up.
But that was a previous time. But even since then, the grind has always been our best selling EAA amino, like best tasting, hands down, like one of the best. So,
we sell a ton of the grind, a ton.
Yeah.
Between that and hydraulic's still our number one seller. Right. Our go-to product, but the grind really has a staple in everywhere. Now we have 7 flavors? Already out. So we brought out quite the selection of that as well. So, and that's with my favorite flavor not even being in the mix, which is the Tropical Thunder.
Yeah. We love my favorite's Shark Bite, man, by far. Shark Bite.
Yeah, mine too.
Yeah.
Mine too.
Tropic Thunder was Hawaiian Punch, so it was my favorite. It's really good.
Nice.
It's going to come back out.
He's bitching.
The Blue Icy I really enjoyed. Maybe that's
Me too.
We're free.
Yeah, it's funny. I went to give it to a friend at the gym, and he's like, "What is this, like blue raspberry?" I'm like, "No, it's like Blue Icy." They're like, "What? Like blue? What?" I'm like, "Blue Icy."
Target Blue. A Target Slurpee.
I mean, honestly, the way the sales go on the grind would be Whiskey Cola first. I'd say Shark Bite second, Unicorn Blood's up there, and then goes on down the line to, I think, Swamp Beast is up there. Swamp Beast is up there just because Seth said he hates it. And then, honestly,
that's not a lie.
He said he hates it. And then people started buying.
People are like, "Oh, I want that." Yeah. I like the Scorpion one. The Scorpion one that was just like a limited kind of thing because I like that one.
That was mixed berry. It's still
Scorpion
around,
venom,
But we'll probably switch out a couple here shortly and get into something new. But
there's something a creative question I have for you guys. So I'm a huge fan of Demo Day. I love that product. How did you come up with the naked flavor and with Seth fucking plastered on that tub?
He did not want to be.
No, he hated that idea, but we said fuck it, we do it anyways. So the first one we did was the maraschino cherry. So we're like, all right, we're gonna call it big cherries. Just screw around again, right? So
big hanging balls.
Second one was watermelon. So hey, big melons.
Yeah.
Big ditties.
So unflavored has to be naked. So we're gonna put Seth as a little gnome with a fig leaf on it. So we had someone character that up, and
you should have seen the first few versions of it. It was so bad. It was so bad.
As far as like the design of it.
It was not flattering at all. But eventually we got to that, and I think he's mildly unhappy with it. But
I think he tries to forget about it.
He doesn't.
We constantly remind him.
Yeah.
Right.
Hey, who's this known guy?
He's such a good sport with it all. Yeah.
When I got that, I was like, oh my God. I'm like.
As soon as we got him, like, send it to Justin.
I was like, now it just sits on a shelf. I was like, I can't even open it. It's just
staring at you.
You won't open it.
Yeah.
I actually, I keep mine right next to my computer all day.
There it is. Looking you right in the face, huh?
Yeah. No, I love. It's so hard to find like it's. I hate saying this. But I call you guys like an influencer brand because you have such a prominent face on it with good formulas, and that is like authentic. It's just like an episode of the Twilight Zone. It doesn't happen. When I see like an influencer with the brand, I just like my eyes glaze over and I just get bored.
Yeah, I don't blame
And then you guys actually deliver on the ingredients. It's wild that you can actually do that for some reason.
I think we were so fortunate. It was so unlikely that any of this would happen. Like, just to give you a quick backstory. Like, I owned a marketing company in Pittsburgh. Pat owned a manufacturing company in Pittsburgh. We didn't know Bob or Seth. Bob, I'm sorry, was in Eastern PA in Harrisburg. Seth was 10 minutes down the road from us. We didn't know who he was, what he did. 6 years ago, Pat and I built houses across the street from each other. And he owned his company and mine. And after 3 years of knowing each other, becoming best friends, we finally were like, you know what, we're not completely happy with our situations. Let's just go ahead and get on a brand side and just do this together. Did that for a year and a half before our mutual acquaintance introduced us to Seth and Bob. When we met those guys, we were like, I mean, we fought a lot back and forth about negotiations. We didn't trust them. They didn't trust us just because we'd all been fucked over in our lives in one way or another professionally. Then for us to actually get into business together was a shocker. Then from there, for us to get Bob to move out here and everything else, to get to the point where we are, I mean, it's all completely, it's very, very unlikely that any of this would have ever happened from any stage. And where Seth met Bob because Bob worked at Isolator Fitness, the bag company in Eastern PA. Seth was sponsored by them fucking almost a decade ago, it seems like at this point.
It's a long time, yeah.
And when Seth left there, he just kept in contact with Bob. Then they started AAR together. They started AAR together to a point where we could all eventually become partners and own 4 Dickheads Incorporated, which owns everything together, 40H that you'll hear people talk about. But it's just extremely unlikely that any of this stuff would ever happen, you know?
Well, and that's very like a family vibe, which is interesting. Like you said, Pat, earlier, you know, your son works there. And what's really cool about it is, you know, we see a lot of brands and we all deal with lots of them where they come in and they want to have all the influencers and they want to sell. There's no like real, I would say, foundation behind it. Whereas like, you know, you talk about this is years sort of in the making of, you know, people I think saw Axe and Sledge, and yes, it helps that Seth is a big influence, but he also wouldn't have been in the mix probably anyway had there not been a good foundation in place. But it's like a lot of people just don't appreciate the amount of experience and work that comes in beforehand. You know, we've seen some brands be really successful really quickly. It's not a fluke. You know what I mean? It's like there's a lot that and a lot of you know, mistakes or other, you know, sort of things that you learn from. And a lot of people, I think, are under this false impression that we can just waltz in here because I make a cool formula, and just next thing you know, I'm making a ton of money and I'm Instagram famous, and it's just like
Seth is different. Seth, Pat and I together before Seth and after Seth have worked with people that have quote unquote like, you know, bigger influencers. We've worked with so many other people, him and I, without people realizing it. And Seth is completely different. He knows what he wants. He knows formulas. He knows products. He knows where he wants to go with his business. And he knew whenever he sat down with us for the first time exactly what he wanted out of it. And there was nothing that he was going to do any other way other than his way. And it just happened to be, luckily, that it was our way.
The same way our way is.
Yeah, which still blows my mind. And we're completely blessed that it happened, that we all have the same values, because where the fuck else is that going to happen, honestly, especially in this industry? And the fact we live 10 minutes down the street from each other, what the fuck?
Right.
Like, how'd that happen?
Well, it seems like with him, and Mike, you and I have talked about our love for bodybuilding and all things that go into bodybuilding. But he just seems like he's a member of your team that happens to be a bodybuilder, rather than I'm a bodybuilder and I'm going to make you part of my team, just fit you in there. Like it's just like the opposite way around. Like he just is a member of your team because he fits in with you guys, and that's what he
That's
just has this one. He has this one fucked up flaw that we don't want to talk about. That he's a bodybuilder on the side.
Yeah.
But the thing is, I mean, that was just a past experience of his. He's no longer a bodybuilder. He doesn't even have that. I mean, he still has that mentality to a point, but now it's more of the business side and influence. How can I be a motivator of all people, not just bodybuilders?
I think he realized he can influence so many more lives.
Oh yeah.
But I know for a fact, I don't think, but I know for a fact that he can influence a lot more people to live better lives based on what he's doing now, rather than getting back onto the stage. I mean, he could have done it. I mean, he thought about it 2 years ago whenever we were in the first fall of our acts in Sledge. I mean, he was getting ready to get back out there and just kick the world's ass, but he took a step back and said, no, this is affecting home life. This is affecting everybody in a negative way, where I can affect hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people, just doing what he does best. And that's just spreading his message.
Yeah, and we do a good job of just staying in our lanes, all of us. You know, we all work together, but I'm not going to cross a path. I'm not going to try to design anything. I'm not going to try to do computer work. That's not my lane. Not going to do it. I'll do all the back end portions of things that I know how to do in formulations. That's my specialty. So it's like, okay, we'll work together and do that. But as far as us each knowing where to go, you know, on a daily basis is, I think, why we're successful. And we kind of slow played it. Just having the experience of owning other businesses. This isn't a fly-by-night company. We didn't want it to be a fly-by-night. Sometimes quick success can be doomed for failure. As soon as that happens, everyone's like, yes, I made it. No. Boom. All of a sudden you get slapped in the face with all mess up.
By the first fucking Lambo and COVID-19.
Right.
You're fucked.
But it happens to a lot of people.
Yeah.
It's a common mistake, you know, and that's a learning thing. But having the experience we've all had being part of different businesses, you know, you learn other people's mistakes. You keep those in the back of your mind and you keep pushing forward. So, you know, I think that's another reason, you know, we kind of slow played it. We're very successful, but you're going to see us in a lot more places in the next 8-12 months with things that we have lined up. So, you know, that's the fun part of it. It's not about getting rich. It's about, you know, making a staple, making a standpoint, a footprint somewhere.
You tell me you can deal with fucking GNC tomorrow? Come on. like that's not our gig. You know, it possibly one day, I don't know if the shoe fits, wear it, but we're not here to give everybody what they want. It has to be what we want and they want, you know what I mean? So it just has to work for everybody. And we're so loyal to our fucking wholesale retail outlets that it just, our morals and our values outweigh any sort of freedom that we could get from just shoving like everything aside and being like, all right, go ahead, run with this. You guys got this. Make fucking $250 million. I don't think that'll ever work for us because we love what we do so much, and we're just passionate about the people that we work with. So
I think your brand is way more relevant to small business owners anyway.
Like,
putting it in stores like Jacob's just makes so much more sense than throwing it on a wall in GNC. You know, I've done GNC and Vitamin Shop, and it's really hard to establish a connection with the workers of the store at those stores. Whereas, like, you can call Jacob right up and you can talk to him and his sales. So just from like an outsider perspective.
Yeah, and you know, there's a connection there too. I mean, based on your company's values and my company's values, you know, I'm able to, you know, from a sales perspective, I'm able to. Can you guys hear me?
Yes. Yeah.
From that perspective, like, I'm able to promote a brand more so that I align with morally. Right now, you know, you put that in GNC, which I'm not hating on. You know, GNC, whatever, they do their thing, but you know, are they going to be able to promote a brand that they can't really relate with because they don't really know they're making $10 an hour and, you know, pushing whatever they're told to push? I don't think so. But so I think that's why brands like yours definitely has a place in brick and mortar.
Yeah.
So.
Well, that retail and brand relationship is so huge. And like Jacob, like we'll get people that we consult for small brands and they're like, oh, I'm trying to get into retail. You guys know retailers, right? And we're like, well, yeah. Oh, can you hook me up with Jacob? And we're like, well, no, because what are you going to do? Like, we have to get you retail ready, right? Like, what are you going to do for Jacob? It's not about like, oh, we know Jacob, so here you go, Jacob, now you have to carry this brand because this is our friends. It's like, that doesn't help anybody.
That's a good phrase.
I think that's what a lot of people, what a lot of people think. Go ahead.
I like the retail ready phrase.
Yeah.
Because that carries a lot more weight than people would realize when they create these brands. To be retail ready, it takes a lot.
Yeah,
it's not just having a product that you can just throw at them. No, you need to serve these guys. They need every single bit of support that they can get, because they're buying products that are not cheap, that are not easy to sell, no matter what fucking labels on that brand, no matter what the brand is. It is not easy to sell anything in those stores. I know for a fact. So to be able to support them, give them the information, whatever they need, whatever deal they need at that time, you have to be ready to do it, and you have to be ready to do it on a massive scale too.
Yeah. Then go ahead, Jacob. I was going to say, I was going to see what you had to say.
I was going to butt in and say, as far as the deals thing go, or the penny pinchers, I know there's a lot of retailers that's a huge deal. Not so much for us. Like, you guys make banging formulas, we're going to bring you in. I don't really care the price point. But I can't say the same for others. But what were you saying, Justin?
No, it's just especially important, like for guys like you, like Jacob. We know how much is on your plate. We know you're trying to grow a business. So it goes back to this whole, we're talking about bias towards each other, like unbiased and biased. But it's like, you would rather work with these people that get it, that understand the struggle that you're having on a day-to-day basis. And it's like, well, because we talk about brands, a lot of people will go to a retailer and say, hey, I've got this product, it's got 38 fucking grams of citrulline in it, man. Like, but that's not what the retailer's issue is. That's something that you communicate to the consumer, right? But Jacob, your issues are different from the customers. So it's like going back to the retail ready thing. It's like, are you distribution ready? Is this what you want? Are you retail? Are you Amazon ready? It's like the whole kind of thing. But it's a people business when it comes down to it. It's like that is totally lost in the shuffle, is how much you actually just have to deal with people on a day-to-day basis and help Jacob out, figure, okay, Jacob, how can we help you sell our products? Because you're basically, Jacob becomes an ambassador for Access Sledge. Like, you have your athlete codes and people out there, but Jacob is basically your ambassador. So how can you best support him to get out there and spread the message about your product?
You can support him by not whoring yourself out on the internet. I mean, I think that's one. I think that's. I mean, first,
that's one.
I only have two ways to support, the brick and mortar stores, and that one, this is not be a whore on the internet. So, I mean, you can look up, I don't know if Facebook has a way that you can look up how much we spent on our Facebook advertising. It's going to be zero. So you can look that up. So you're not going to find us there pushing people to our website. You can also go put a fucking product in your cart on our website and not check out. You're also not going to get a fucking 40% off discount code. Okay. So,
I love that one.
I love that one too. That drives me fucking crazy.
I do it all the time. I order shit for somebody.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I just wait for the next discount to come
I clean
by.
up on them,
right?
Yeah, but not on our website. So, secondly, would be to obviously not get these affiliates or what we call as our demo crew members, is not to give them a 20, 25, 30% discount, whatever it is, and then to pay them, 20% of every single sale. Like, no, we make it so clear that whenever somebody applies to be a part of the demo crew, and I'm passionate about our demo crew because they're my people. Like, they are us through and through. And what we make it very clear is that you're not going to make a living on this. You're not going to be able to quit your job. You're not going to be able to supplement your income. Like none of this is going to happen from being a part of the demo group. What you're going to do is you're going to have access to, right now we're around 4,000 people that are just encouraging each other every single day. They're spreading the word, obviously. I mean, that's a part of this. And they're just making each other better people, and they're supporting each other. I mean, that's literally it. And we're so fortunate to have all these people that are able to jump in and do that. Well, actually, no, there's a strong third, and that would be spending money on developing content. Because the more time that we spend developing YouTube videos and podcasts, which takes a ton of time and it takes a ton of effort.
Yeah, you guys know that.
So the more that we can reach new people, and if we reach 100,000 new people a week, some of those are going to be in Jacob's neck of the woods. Some of those are going to be in other people's neck of the woods. And they're going to look for a place that hopefully they find our products, and it's not on our website. I hope it's in their stores, honestly. So it's not going to be on Amazon, I'll tell you that much. It's not going to be at Europa. It's not going to be at Muscle Food. It's not going to be in any distributors. It's going to be at one of our stores or on our website. Where our website, they're not going to buy it for less than they could buy it in the store. It's not going to happen. They'll never pay less on our website than they will in the store. Never.
We ran free shipping once, I think, right?
Free shipping once. That was
during the
Arnold, because
people were supposed to come. That's the only time we've ever run free shipping.
We felt like whores.
So I showered twice.
So that's one discussion that I really wanted to get into. I really wanted to ask you guys how you juggle, because you're very retail centric, but you also must do a lot of D2C. So it's kind of, I understand that struggle to juggle. Nice.
Finished it. I finished it off.
Good for you.
I got another one.
Oh, okay.
Go ahead.
I need one. I can send you one up.
No, I can appreciate the resistance to distribution. By the way, I just wanted to jump in and say that, because that has been probably one of the largest headaches of retail for me in the past few months, is trying to keep a consistent flow of product from our distributors and keep consistent pricing, because everything's so fluctuating. I mean, just on that side of things, it's probably one of the largest headaches, whether you're, whichever distributor I'm dealing with. That's why we're slowly transitioning to pretty much direct across the board, just because the headache it's causing me and my guys.
Right.
So I can really appreciate that.
I get it. I get the distributors. I get their stance, and I get like where they're coming from to support the stores, and you can buy, onesie twosies of this and that, and like they totally have a place. I'll never say that they don't, but when we started this, it wasn't our first go around, and we just knew where we were going to impact stores. We knew where we were going to impact direct to consumer. We knew exactly what we wanted to do, and we're just like, we just can't go that route, because in the long run, I think it's going to pay off, not just for us, but for our stores and everybody. And I think it is now for sure. I hope you feel like it is, but I think it's paying off.
Yeah, I mean, because we've had Europa knocking on our door last Arnold. They're like, hey, we want to be with you. The vice president, Eric Hillman, they're all saying, hey, we want you to come down to Carolina. We want to show you everything we got down here. We're like, hey, we're good.
Yeah,
we're okay. And they didn't like that.
They tell their sales reps that they've already signed the deal too.
Probably.
I'll get a call from my inside guy. I'm not going to name names, but they'll be like, dude, guess who we have on the phone right now? It's NutriBio or Action Sledge. And I kid you not, I've been told that they're like guaranteeing me that they're going to be carrying it next week. And I don't know who passes that down the line. Either distributor. It's not just one or the other. Right. But yeah, it's hilarious, man.
Well, one thing I want to touch on too, and I know Ben can jump in and talk about this because this is something important to him, but going back to the demo crew thing, Mike, I told Mike this story, but Pat, I don't think I ever told this story. Everyone has a group now, right? Everyone has but it doesn't always fit, right? Or there's no support there, right? Right, everyone's a tier operator. But so Pat, the one day I was at the gym around here, which I'm in Delaware right now, and I see a guy and he's wearing a demo crew t-shirt. And so I walk up to him.
What did you say to Ben?
I was like, what's that?
What did I say to Ben?
Right. So this guy, right, just random guy, I go up to him and I was like, hey, you're in the demo crew, and he's like, oh yeah, and he just starts talking to me. He's like, I love Vax and Sledge. I love what they do. He's like, he's like, do you know Vax and Sledge? I was like, a little bit. I was like, I know a little bit, and
a little bit.
Just got hammered with him in Vegas.
I was like, just a little bit, but it was cool to see exactly, Mike, like what you're talking about, because like speaking of tier operators, like everybody knows I don't give a fuck about that company. I have no respect for them. Like we go into the bulletin board in our gym, and there's like tier operator cards posted on all the bulletins. But these guys that I see out there, they got Axe and Sledge shakers. They've got they're taking pre-workouts from other companies. But this dude that I was talking to with the demo crew shirt, like he was so into like what you guys are doing, and for no other reason than it's just wanting to be a part of a team. They feel it wasn't like he's not trying to make money. He never told me what his fucking code was. Like I never heard anything about that. He just, you know, so it was a cool thing to see in the suit. You know, I told Mike about that, but I figured I'd pass that along to you because it's pretty cool. It's different.
And that's the fun part for us, you know, being able to provide that atmosphere and that community for people, just to say, hey, I'm just excited to be part of something. You know, this is bigger than them. They feel a part of it every day. They live, and a lot of these people live it every day. You know, if they're out on the job, they're in the trenches somewhere. They're listening to the podcast, loving it to death, sharing it with all their friends, saying, they're not trying to sell products. They're like, you just got to listen to these guys for motivation, you know, and realize that they all started somewhere and got to this point by grinding a bunch, you know, and it's not a bunch of successes. There's a bunch of failures along the way that got you to this success. So if those younger people understand that, maybe they'll start grinding today, not looking for that quick buck, quick success at 23, 24 years old.
I'd love for you guys to like hop in, like just sneak on into like the Axe and Sledge Facebook page, sneak into the demo crew page, and I'll have you guys there. You do what you want. You can stay there because you should see the type of content that happens there. It's like dudes throwing pictures from their forklift. It's like guys in the coal mine sneaking a selfie. It's people driving to work just like screaming or singing. And yeah, there might be products here and there, but it's just like people, like there'll be like 400 comments like fucking right, you know, kick today in the dick, whatever, you know. And
hey,
it's
just set my PR on bench.
Yeah, there's
three and 400 people just saying, oh yeah, fucking hey, you know, all that stuff.
But it's like 70% like fitness and supplements and all that, and there's 30%, maybe even 40% that are just people's like, hey, I bought this new truck. It's a 2014 with 150,000 miles on it, my dream truck, whatever. And people are just supporting the shit out of them. Like, it's the coolest thing in the world to us. I mean, it's cool. It's definitely, I can guarantee you, it's not like any other supplement company Facebook page or group out there. But yeah, I encourage you guys to hop in there and just check it out, because you'll see that there's no pushing of product. There's not us selling people. It's not us doing anything outside of just providing information and education and just supporting these guys and their goals every single day. It's pretty cool.
I'm actually really active in that group. I love spending my time. Like I love tagging people in there. Yeah. I comment on most of the posts that I see. One earlier today was like just some random guy was like, hey, I'm bulking, like post pictures of your bulk. And like I posted mine in from last year, but it's cool because there's, like you said, there's people of all levels. There's like huge dudes that are just yoked to the gills. And then there's like just your normal blue collar guy. And it's just, it's so cool because everyone has something in common, and it isn't the working out. It's a mindset, and it's much more, I don't know, underlying than like a very, like, to me, working out is just very like shallow. That idea that like we're all together because we work out together. It seems very boring. And that's coming from like a competitive power lifter. Like I live that, I love it. But like, I don't feel any closer to people that work out. I feel closer to people that I share a common belief system or
whiskey and bourbon.
Yeah, something like that.
Well, so I've never, I guess maybe my invite got lost somewhere. I've never commented on anything, but, you know.
Well, Justin, you have your own
coming up now.
I was going to make that comparison. I mean, you can tell when things are started from a place of very genuine nature, because, you know, the same thing can be said for the Supplement Snoop group, how it's, you know, everybody in there, you know, it's a much smaller scale group. I think I haven't checked the number, but you know, everybody in there is, I feel like I know everybody, but I don't at all, like whatsoever, you know. But I can hop in a comment and we can start, you know, talking shit to each other. But I've never met, you know, it's a very interesting.
Same exact idea, Jacob. You hit the nail on the head. It's the same exact idea.
Yep.
I couldn't have said any better myself. I actually might have said that to Zach the other day, because I was telling Zach to subscribe to the app and get in there, because there's a ton of information in there that he needs to read. He needs to know, sales wise and education wise. But I compared it the exact same way.
Yeah,
and
Mike's a big deal over there too.
He is.
Mike's pretty popular over on the Supplement Sync group. I mean, even before like last week, like everyone's like, oh, Mike, we love Mike. I'm like,
Yeah.
no,
Damn,
no.
I'm gonna have to get that personal friend request then.
It was that dick pic.
Ah,
That's yeah.
that's the criteria,
Yeah.
or was that like
Yeah.
that's what made it happen?
That's
Yeah,
the closer.
Closer.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
That's what got Meaton. Yeah. Yeah. It's my wife.
Meat.
Yeah, I call her Meat.
Meat. That's her
Yep.
nickname.
Justin knows that. Is Latina Heat around tonight? Where's she at?
She's watching. I'm sure she's watching somewhere. She's always watching.
He's been
always
commenting
fun.
a lot. We've got some pretty cool comments. I actually love the Access Sledge Facebook group because I can post my content in there that your followers love it. It's a little bit of built-in views for me. But actually, I posted this live into that group, so if anyone wants to come watch and ask questions.
Sure.
And so
Nice.
we've had a few cool people jump in. So it's awesome to see how active they are. So.
Nice.
So it's kind of funny because taking it back even further, a couple years back in NutriBio, I made a very, very similar Facebook group for you guys because when we saw Facebook engagement going down, you basically have to pay for Facebook engagement now. The cool thing about groups is that you can take people that are already pretty engaged with your brand, put them in a group, and all of a sudden they get notifications for it. Sounds a little bit like you're taking advantage of it, but I mean you are. But it's a good place for everyone to congregate and talk. You can do your lives in there. You can push all sorts of cool stuff. And I see sometimes, I think you guys put exclusive stuff in the Facebook group. It's a little bit early. It's a really great way to get engaged with people. People are using Facebook groups like crazy. And you can grab a certain kind of person, which is so cool. Because like the demo crew obviously picked up all these blue collar workers. At NutriBio, I was able to pick up people who considered themselves higher quality athletes or were more committed in a certain way, as certain like the branding of NutriBio, if you guys know it.
Sure.
It's so cool to see how people can come together all of a sudden. It just gets on a roll and it just grows from there.
Oh yeah. We have I mean you could go through on our website, you can go through what it takes to be a demo crew member, and it's an application you fill out.
Oh, cool.
And certainly we'd never say no to anybody that didn't qualify, and there's basic characteristics of it, right? Like you haven't been repping other brands, you're 18 plus, you have some sort of goal in mind. You have to tell us what your goal is. You have to have tried our products. If you haven't tried our products, then you just can't be accepted into the group. I'm sorry. But, and if you have tried our products, what our application, so we have a lot of support in-house that nobody knows about that supports this group. And that's most of our marketing and advertising goes into supporting these people that nobody sees. So what they do is they take the application and they go on. So you've tried our products. Okay, well, we'll go ahead and find your orders on our website by your email and your name. If we can't find them there, they'll contact them and say, hey, you probably are purchasing our products from a store. What store are you purchasing these from? Just to make sure that they are actually using the products. If they can't come up with the store, whatever, then they're just not going to be accepted. If they say, hey, yeah, we've been buying from the nutrition store for like 3 years, whatever it might be, okay, that's fine. We can accept you into the program. But you have to be an active member. And over time, we find out who is and who's not active. They're still never going to get the price that they're going to get right at the nutrition store. Still never going to happen. So it's not like we need you to be at certain X level of followers or X level of this or that. It's not a popularity contest at all. We hope that you come in with the best intentions. If you don't, we get rid of you immediately. We're really good at that too. Uh-huh. So, we want to give everybody the opportunity to experience what the demo crew is all about if you qualify for it by taking our products of age and you have good goals in mind. You know what I mean? So, and then over time we figure out who's in it to win it. And, but there's no like level you're going to get to above that where you make money. We're never going to pay you cash. We're never going to, we have 2 people that literally, and that they've been with us from almost the beginning. Dean's been with us for a long time.
I was going to ask you about Dean.
Yeah, we've known him forever, and he was with 5%, he's with Cass Martin, and it just became the time where it was right for him to split ways. And we were so happy to have Dean because he's our friend. He comes to our houses, he hangs out with us, he eats dinner with our families. He's that guy. And then Krista's been with us forever, with AER from the beginning. Had a relationship with Bobby and Seth, and so those are literally our only 2 people that have the opportunity to make money. I mean, that's it. No other demo crew member, nobody can get a check from us or a PayPal or nothing like that, which is not the way most of these things go.
Definitely not. Well,
I
that's
one thing.
One thing that you just said too that I think is interesting. You talked about, you guys don't take out advertisements and stuff like that. We had this conversation, talking about growing what we're doing and things like that. We're like, we started an ambassador program, but we don't even like talk about it, but that's where our money goes. Instead, we're like, instead of spending money on ads, let's spend money on the people that, not paying them, but spending money on the people that believe in what you're doing. I think that's kind of like what you're hitting on right there, is you'd rather put that money back into what's going on in-house rather than targeting and things like that, which, like what you just said, nobody does that.
Yeah, we don't spend money on the digital advertising space or on salesmen. We have Zach and we have Darcel in-house. So if there's a sale to be made to a store of some kind and they're eligible to be sold to, then they are drawn in based on our creative efforts with content or by just finding their brand somewhere, but it's not by paying for an ad on the web or by a salesman cold calling. Which
I think it comes down a lot like a philosophical question of how do you want to target and acquire customers? Like I have a very good friend that manages Amazon markets and would tell you guys that you guys could be easily making $500,000 a month of new eyes. I'm not talking about stealing customers from Jacob or your direct-to-consumer store. You could find new eyes on your products, but that might not matter to you. If you are looking for only those hardworking motherfuckers, those new eyes don't mean much to you. They're not always going to be repeat customers. They might not actually even grab into your branding at all. Even if you're selling just off the formula, you're not really getting the consumer you're looking for. You guys have incredible formulas. I tell everyone about hydraulic, but that's really not what the brand is about. The formulas, while they are important, kind of come secondary to being the right person for the brand.
Yep. Hydraulic.
Yeah,
Oh, go ahead, man. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, Jacob. Go
ahead.
I
was going to say hydraulic is the only, from a formula standpoint, that's the only non-stem pre that we cycle through a lot of different brands in our pre-workout section because unlike a lot of stores, we basically have our shelving system is set up. We go non-stem and left to right. There's a scale of potency. And hydraulic's the only non-stem pre that has stayed on the shelf consecutively for 2 years straight. So that's saying something
awesome
about people's love for it.
That's so cool.
But I was also going to comment really quick on the selling thing and how you basically you're not paying for ads, you're not doing that route. You're basically getting a community behind you and building that that aspect of it. What sells more? People who are given the money incentive. Technically, or people who have that passion and that fire. And I think when you have, citizen warriors out there who have the passion and are a part of the lifestyle, that's going to speak more volumes.
Mm-hmm. And dude, you're exactly right. But what a new brand is going to say that they're going to sell a lot more based on advertising up front because they can't build that community. And it's very, very difficult to build this community. I don't blame them at all for doing the advertising. And listen, some people are just great at it and they nail it. Good for them. Mm-hmm. But in the long run, if you do $100 million, spending $500,000 a month on advertising, or if I do $50 million, spending $0 a month on advertising,
right?
Who's going to be worth more?
Yeah.
Right. So we've put the work in the last 5 years of our lives and the last 2.5 years of our lives with Bobby and Seth, doing it the hard way, because we know in the long run, and as things have shown over the last 6 months and 12 months, that snowball effect really picks up pace and it starts doing the work for you. As long as you keep up with it and keep supporting everybody that you need to support in order to keep that snowball pushing forward. So, and that's a lot of infrastructure on our end. That's a lot of storage, shipping, just a ton of miscellaneous bullshit that you have to keep up with, that you don't want to keep up with, that nobody wants to keep up with, but you have to. that's when you start really experiencing the growth efforts that we are. So
the perfect example for that right now is community-wide right now in the industry. There's only a very few brands that are releasing new products during COVID-19 and actually doing well about it. And those brands have built-in communities. They're not running ads or this. And out of respect for you guys, I'm not going to talk too much about it, but like with you guys dropping your hydraulic whiskey and cola, like most brands would be afraid to drop a new product right now because no one's in the gym.
We got 3 coming.
Cool.
2 next week.
Right.
Right. So,
I mean, hey, 3 minutes ago it just dropped.
Yep.
Nice.
Congratulations.
Hey, good.
Congratulations.
But
Nice.
we have Dozer coming out next week, right? So we dropped Blueberry Muffin Homemade this week, and we dropped Hydraulic Whiskey Cola. So those are 2 new ones. And then we have Dozer the Sleep Aid, Honey Lemon Tea coming next week. And then we have a limited edition 7th Year Pineapple Express. So, I mean, we're dropping 4 products in the 2 weeks. And one of the things is, I mean, we really, for me at least, realized what we have through this pandemic.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
you understand the type of loyalty and community and partnerships that we have, even with the retail stores. I mean, we have a retail store. We have one by accident, just because we had a warehouse in the back for a minute, right?
Our wives kicked us out of the house.
Our wives kicked us out of the house when we started Amen. So it just happened to have a door and a window in the front, so we made a storefront. But it's closed. It's closed now. We could have a slight curbside, but it would be worth our time to do it right now. But just because PA's not open to where other places are, but you know, we understand the difficulty it is to do that, and the retailers have been super supportive of us as we have been of them. You know, understanding everything that they're going through because we're part of that as well. So I think this is the one time we really realize what we have built in the last few years to keep the business stable and the longevity of it. Because, like I said, I've been doing this a long time. There's brands, hundreds and hundreds of brands that have come and gone in less than a year.
Yeah.
Right.
There's two things. There's 2 things that you hit on there that are really important that I kind of want to talk about. Is the first thing that point you just made is critical, because like you said, there's a lot of brands that are a house of cards. You kind of see it, and you know, part of our goal, you can never predict something like COVID coming, but the supplement industry is so volatile anyway. You know, when it comes to sales and stuff like that, for a lot of people, it's like it's so dependent on, you know, cycles and this and that, and it's like people always trying to chase their tail, whereas you guys have sort of built in this system that is, you know, I don't want to say it's like recession proof, but there's the loyalty is there. People aren't just buying your products because they're on sale or because, you know, the discount, and it kind of ties into something else. Because I was going to ask you guys, like, when exactly you launched, because we run into it where brands get so fired up about the launch of everything. The launch is fucking meaningless. Like, everybody, they dump everything into that moment when they launch, and like that's literally the very beginning, like, of everything. And it's like something you were just talking about, Pat, was, you know, you guys get out there, and now it's like, here it comes, but you're laying that groundwork to get you through, you know, some of these crazier times. And I see a lot of companies, they get really excited because they're like, oh, now I've got this product and it's so cool to have this. It's like, no, nobody cares. Like, the launch is totally irrelevant.
Right.
You get that influx of cash, and you can tell by the people. I keep saying this industry, but
it looks like Jesus.
Right?
A cross between Jesus and Fergie.
Oh, you know what? Latino Heat must have walked into the room. Look at that.
Latino Heat's in the room.
But I mean, honestly though, like, you see the industry, you see people renting cars to take pictures with them, all this shit. So if you launch a new brand and you bring in, you know, whatever, an influx of cash that first night, it's like, okay, let me buy a few things here. Let me not think about cash flow problems I'm going to have in a month whenever I have to restock on products that aren't selling anymore. You know what I mean? That launch doesn't mean shit.
Oh, I mean, I come from a place of experience with that one on our personal product that we make. You know, I mean, and not to say that, because we have a different focus anyway, as far as our products want to, I guess, assist the growth of the store, the retail store. But, you know, we went hard on the, the initial launch of ours. I mean, we sold out in less than 3 weeks. And I mean, for a retail store, that was great. But
Awesome. Yeah.
after that, it's like, well, I thought I was making stacks the first 3 weeks, man. I was like, yeah, like this is where it's at. And then push come to shove, people want more flavors. And people, and then it kind of dies down. It's like, wait, I can't keep the same aggression up that I did for this launch. So, learning from experience, that's exactly right. I'm going to pace myself.
So when we
it's
launched,
difficult to do.
Yeah, when we launched the brand, we did it intentionally without protein.
Yeah.
We used commodity products. We used commodity products. Our number one seller is a non-stem based product, not a super high stem 7th gear product that didn't come till later on down the road.
Yeah, way later down the road.
Yeah, we came out with grind, ignition switch, and a nice fat burn product, and we did it intentionally. But now we launch flavors, so we're not launching brand new products. But like tonight, we launched whiskey cola hydraulic. So every time we bring a new flavor out, not just a product, it's a big deal for our people. So like, okay, you have 7 flavors of grind. People are buying 3 flavors. We've got them understanding that flavor is a big deal, because it is. I mean, there's a substantial cost to doing that, and especially to market behind it. So, it's a different strategy that we've taken compared to a lot of other companies.
Especially as a self-funding company.
Right. Yeah. Self-funding. So it's like, okay, we do take those steps to make sure that we have a well-rounded, like Jacob said, multiple flavors of everything. So people have an opportunity to change things up, and they can change it up within the brand instead of changing up outside the brand for us as a company. So that's what we try to limit people from leaving the company and just switching flavors instead of actual product.
But to Ben's point earlier, the influencer brands, this is where it could be a fucking disaster. Like Justin said, the launch doesn't mean anything. Well, launch especially doesn't mean anything whenever you have one guy that says they know what they're doing, and then you have one influencer that says they could do anything. They come together, they launch a brand on one night, and they make $100,000 or $50,000 or $1 million, whatever it is. Well, both of them are like, it's payday.
Right.
Let's go. Meanwhile, neither one were shipping the product. They might have a third-party logistics company. They have a manufacturer they don't even trust yet, but they think they do.
Yeah.
You have an influencer that's just made money for other companies at this point. You have a guy that says he knows what he's doing that doesn't actually know what he's doing, because now he's got stores coming down his neck that he can't even stock. Or worse yet, we've got nobody coming back to the website after the first time they sold their product because it tastes like shit. It doesn't perform well. You know what I mean? Like,
well, one thing too that I think you guys could probably hit on quite a bit is, so the manufacturing process. Like, it's really cool to have, say, a brand, catch on as well as you guys have. But what if you're, what we see a lot is somebody will come out with something really cool or popular, but then somewhere along the distribution or the manufacturing process, something gets broken, and next thing you know, they don't have products to give to the retailers, to give to the consumers. And then next thing you know, the brand's basically dead. So I know you guys have been like heavily involved, like in manufacturing processes, like in a lot of different ways. Like how hard, like that balance there with, with growth of your company, but also making sure that the manufacturing end of it is able to grow with you or support your growth.
Right. And Justin, I think that goes back to the beginning with the 4DH, right? We each have our lane. My lane is to have communication with myself and my purchasing manager and our manufacturers every day.
Yeah.
And since day one, I was involved with manufacturing for several years. Know the ins and outs, know the buying process, know all the analysis you need, the testing protocols that are in place for CFR 111 and 101, and what goes on in the process itself. So where some people don't understand what all manufacturing entails, like step A through Z, I do. So I know the certain pressure points that even the manufacturer goes through to get one raw ingredient in. Yeah. And what it takes to do that, and the cost to that, and then to have 100+ employees sitting on the floor making product and have the schedule put together and all that stuff. So the relationship that I have with our manufacturer, and we we have a great relationship. So where certain companies take 10, 12, 16 weeks to make product, it may take us 4 to 6 weeks. Because they had that trust in me at the beginning, I had that trust in them, and they grew with us throughout the whole process. And that's one thing I promised them. As long as you're loyal to us and make sure that we're a priority, I'm not going anywhere. And am I nickel and diming you to death? Absolutely not. Like, I could nickel or dime them to death now. And I could say, hey, I need this 10 cents cheaper. Well, 10 cents times thousands and thousands of units is a lot of money, at the end of the day for us on our end. And it's also a bunch of money on his end. But is it going to make a difference at the end of the day if I can't get my product?
Right. Yeah, I've seen a lot of brands, they take different approaches to this where, you'll price. I get it. You want to find the best deal, right? You want to get a good price. But I've seen, and we've been on the opposite end of it. I'm like, is it worth it to you to save this amount of money if you aren't sure you can trust or like, I mean, to me, it's a no-brainer, but
Right.
it's kind of individualistic to the person. It's like, but I know a lot of brands too that you have POs open with multiple manufacturers and stuff like that, and you just sort of play the shell game. So it seems like you guys just kind of stick to the same.
Yeah, it's never changed for me, and just for all of us in general. This is a relationship longevity thing. So the relationships that we build and put together with people, we want them to last. So unless he comes to me and says, Pat, I can't do this in this time frame. Right. I need you to go somewhere else for this run. I'm not going.
I think that this all gets filed under like this, the influencer talk, the Facebook marketing talk, all of these things come under like those other influencer brands like Shreds. They were constantly like punting and catching up. If you imagine like the analogy of getting across the field with a soccer ball, you can either dribble it, keep it close, and direct where you're going. It seems like you guys really understand where you want to be, what you want to do, or you can be constantly punting and not really sure if you're going to get it back. I get a lot of brand owners coming to me saying, I can do this, I'm thinking about doing this, instead of saying, this is what's right for my brand, this is what I want to do. We have a lot of entrepreneurs, and I understand that you guys do own a bunch of different businesses, sometimes it's a good thing, but at the heart, you guys are also passionate about the product that you create. And it seems like the biggest problems I come into in this industry is with people who don't really care about what they're making. They don't care about the control, they don't care about the quality or really anything about it.
Yeah, I mean, if we would have gone the route at the very beginning of hiring a bunch of salesmen, going to Europe, going to distributors, going the marketing route, going the route that I would say pretty much every other company goes from the start, because that's a good way to start, we wouldn't be where we are now. We'd probably be about half of the success I would say that we've had, and without much of a trajectory in the next 6-12 months. But we didn't have that success probably the first 2 or 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, 6 months, because we didn't do that. So I think there's a lot of money we left on the table right at the beginning that we're now reaping. I think we're taking that money back now tenfold.
I think it makes sense. I like the way that you guys roll with that.
Yeah, it's not feasible for everybody. But it's also not impossible. It's just a matter of doing it the really fucking difficult way.
You have to be patient.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be patient. And Ben, you said something there, the entrepreneurs of the world, and I think there's a big difference between being self-employed and an entrepreneur. Right. Self-employed, you're doing it for the paycheck. Being an entrepreneur, you're building a brand, building a business, building, an empire of what you want in life.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of people that are self-employed in the supplement industry. A lot.
Yeah.
Not a brand.
We see that a lot. It's unfortunate. I mean, I had a guy come to me with a dog supplement the other day. Like, do you have a following for dogs? Do you where does this fit into your brand? Like, it was the first of its kind. It was a very cool product. It was very, very cool and different. Absolutely. But it's kind of like you guys selling off of your formula. That's not what people care about. People care about the culture, because there should be a reason for everything that you do. And then, unfortunately, a lot of times you're right. It is the paycheck.
Yeah, it is. And I had someone come up to me the other day and said, "Hey, you should do a kids gummy." I'm like, "Well, we only accept people 18 and plus. That's our core brand. Yeah. I'm not going to come out with a kids gummy just because we have just because we can. You don't do something just because you can. And Ben, you and I talk about this. We're not just going to sling stuff just because people want it. We're going to give them the best option and the best quality product.
Right.
And that's
and
where
you guys always kind of bust, like, it's funny, I saw the formula for Dozer earlier today, you sent to Heather, and it's funny because you told me, like, this is an international product, so we can use melatonin, and right off don't worry, I'm not going to say the formula on the stream, but right off the bat, it was like, if other people said that to me, I'd be like, all right, it's probably lacking, like, international formulas are not always going to be what you can do in America. It's just unfortunate a lot of companies kind of cut corners there. Saw the formula, I was like, nope, not with Access Sledge. Like, you guys still do the best you can. You bring what you can to the table, no matter what the confines are. So, I mean, I think it would be kind of cool to see you guys make like a supplement for your 18 plus, their old lady, something that, like, I think it extends a little bit into their family, but whatever.
Well, we have AMN has the birthday suit, crop top, skinny jeans. we have a women's line with AMN.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, that we do. We have a product called Birthday Suit, which is an estrogen balancer, which we sell a shit ton of. Because it balances the estrogen in their bodies, and it's formulated for that, and they get lean muscle off it.
Well, there's a product out in the industry for that kind of stuff that gets a lot of publicity, and it's really not all it cracks up to be. I know Jacob at least knows what I'm talking about. It's I like what you guys do because you do have an impressionable crowd. A lot of blue collar workers, they might not understand nutrition very much, so it's easy to sell to them, especially by being relevant to them. But I see some brands that are marketing to women, and it's very relevant because they have a big influencer who is an influential female, but they're taking advantage of these easily impressionable
Lonnie, you're
people.
talking about.
Those great formulas. They have really good formulas.
You said it.
Say that?
Very balanced. Very balanced.
It's very balanced.
But you touched on something right there, Ben, and you and I talked about this yesterday, I think it was, and every time we're on the phone, it's like the most important part of this industry right now, and you two are involved with it a lot, and Jacob as well, being retail, is informing people, giving them the information of what ingredients do, how they should be acting within your body, and what's quality and what's not. Because up to this point, consumers have lacked knowledge, and they need to be informed of what they should be doing. And if you can do that, you hold on to your customers at the end of the day, because at the end of the day, they're going to trust you.
Yeah, one thing that I was going to ask you guys about is I see a lot of, I get it in a way, but I see a lot of brands, they'll ask their customers, what do you want to see us make next? You know what I mean? Or customers, every time a brand does a Q&A or something, the first question from people is always, well, what's the next product? What's the next product? We want more product. And brands seem to think that making a new product is sort of like the solution to the problems. I was going to see how much, I'm guessing, I think I already know the answer, but when it comes to making a new product, I'm guessing you don't really ask, the customers what they want. It's what can you guys pull off? And then I was going to kind of ask you, Pat, since you kind of do the formulas, right? Or that's your background. Yes. How do you come up with a formula? Because it's got to fit the puzzle of your entire company. I think a lot of people are like, oh, I can make a cool formula. Nobody cares, right? It's whether it fits in with what you're sort of doing at the moment.
Yeah, there has to be a need for it in our product line. There's a need for it, a sleep aid. When we came out with the GDA, there was a need for it. And a lot of our products, the way we build them, hydraulic can be taken with demo day, can be taken with ignition switch. Starting.
Go ahead.
But there's a lot of synergies within our product line that you could take together. We have another product coming out probably in June. It'll be very synergistic to be able to take by itself. You'll be able to take it with the grinds. You'll be able to take it with ignition switch if you want, even with hydraulic. So, we find those pieces that people can benefit from by taking it alone or with other products. So it's just the timing of things, how we come out with them.
I think it's easy to ask people what they need or what they want. It's good to listen to what they need or what they want too. Sure. But I think the people that own these type of companies should know what they need or what they want that we don't supply them yet. Better than they know.
Yes.
So I think we should be the ones to be like, hey, we have this new product just because we don't have it yet, and it should fill this space in your life if you need it, and we just educate them on it.
I was going to say exactly that.
Yeah, it's like good to keep people involved and make them feel like they're part of the team. But it's the same at the end of the day, it's your decision. I mean, it's
right.
Like you have the business. Because I was going to ask too, like, because your formulas are pretty stacked, and to fit that in with with the labels and the vibe and everything that you do, like you did a podcast with Robert, and you were talking about how you build out a formula. And I thought that was a really cool conversation. I didn't know if you wanted to touch on that, like how you pick your ingredients and the dosages and stuff like that.
Oh, from the patent ingredient vendors.
Oh yeah. Well, one of the things I like, and it's because we want to make sure our consumers are informed as possible and are able to do enough research that they need to do. We do use a ton of patent ingredients in every one of our products. And when we do that, people can go to Nutrition 21. They can go to Compound Solutions. They can go to all these other ingredient manufacturers that have hold patents and do the due diligence of their research and understand why they're going to what they're paying for, because these products aren't cheap, and it's not a necessity to buy sports nutrition products. Maybe the everyday vitamins, minerals, stuff like that. Yeah, some people need to, but not everybody needs a pre-workout powder. Not everybody needs a hydraulic. Why am I taking a hydraulic with 5 patent ingredients when I can buy this one maybe $5 less expensive for, that may not work the same. One, we build the formulas for the highest quality possible, so you get the biggest bang for your buck. We know it's going to work just because of all the test studies that are involved with it. By doing this a long time, again, with all my relationships within the industry from purchasing ingredients, a lot of these guys will call me first. They're like, hey, Pat, I got a new ingredient coming out. It's almost patent pending. Do you want to try it out? And I'm not afraid to say it. I tried to make another pump product with Pico 2. Ben and I talked about it's never going to happen.
Nope.
It just does not taste good. Is it
I have to also say, like, with this whole conversation, what are the cool things about what you do? And kind of pulling from the last comment, like, you not only figure out what the consumer needs based on what's out there, but you also look at like what's popular and decide how can Axe and Sledge do it better. I think the most, and I'm going to say it here, the most perfect example for this is homemade.
Oh, homemade.
Oh, man.
So that was like my first conversation with Pat was like, yo, I want to talk about homemade. How can I do this for you guys? Like, I want to, and it was like, I kind of want to throw shade at this other company, like a little bit, but I don't want to do it too obviously. And I just love how you guys are like, not only with that product, but also with Demo Day. There's tons of branch cycling products up there, but you guys came in and put in the GDA. You put the digestive enzymes in the protein. Like, there's these little tweaks that you guys do. You're not copying other companies. You're making it better.
No, we're being innovative, and Demo Day is a good example of that. If you would have told me we would sell thousands of jugs of a carb powder, I've been telling you you're full of shit, right? It's like, okay, because a lot of carbs are either a high or a low glycemic carb, and that's it. It's not a combination, right? So you're not getting the maximum results out of that product. If you don't have a sugar transfer, a product like palatinose patent ingredient, if that doesn't help transfer, it's not going to work properly. You're going to have to add something else to it to make it process properly. And then you add the glycer pump to it as well. So there's a high glycemic, low glycemic glycer pump and palatinose to help that whole transfer happen. And then when you do take it with hydraulic, you're going to get this warm feeling throughout your body. You're going to feel super full for a long period of time. And that's what we want people to feel. So yeah, people can buy hydraulic. They can buy Demo Day. If you buy them together, you're going to have one hell of a workout. But you have to understand the patent ingredients you're using. You have to understand the timing of it, and how it can be affordable still. Right?
You get that warm feeling too. That's kind of,
you get that warm feeling.
I get that with hydraulic. I don't know. It's funny. I don't take it with any stims anymore. I used to do it with 7th gear.
Nope. Yeah, it's a non-stim, and you feel that feeling.
Yeah.
But, and that's the fun part about building a product is having, the time to be able to break that down and understand what each ingredient does within the body. And that's why it's so important. And I talk to you guys and why your jobs are so important is to inform these people of what these products do and how they're effective. And I sent Heather a bunch of information today that had each ingredient broken down within the product and what it exactly does. And if you read line by line, I'm like, you can be like, okay, now it makes sense of why he put all these products together. And does it take time? Of course it does, but
that's one thing that I know I can always pass on too, is because if you would have told me that I would love a carb powder a couple years ago, I would have been like, you're full of shit. But the first time I tried, ironically enough, it was Natural Body Inc. I was talking to one of our friends over there. He's like, I'm telling you, you got to try this demo day product. And I'm like, dude, I've used carb products. I fucking hate it. And then I started using it and I was like, son of a bitch. I was like, I love this thing. But then, that it kind of like what you were talking about, like when Ben and I, if we pass on this information to people, but you see them, they fight you on it sometimes at first. And then they go, you know what? You were right. Like, holy shit. Like, this is like a whole new world for me. And then you're like, yes, like this. So you get validated on a day-to-day basis when you see people sort of branch out. It's not like this whole, does everybody need to graduate to some 40, ingredient stimulant pre-workout to get a good workout? No, of course not. But, sometimes like, you like, just try this, just try, with these ingredients. Yeah. And then people are like, wow, you're right. And so you're like, okay, like we can talk about this.
And since day one, it's been awesome because I've been developing products for other companies for 15 years before Axe and Sledge. So by owning a private label manufacturing company, and Ben, you named one of them just a few minutes ago, right? What in the past they would be like, all right, I need to be at $5. Make me a fat burner. So you don't care what I put in, you just want $5, huh? So you're not worried about the consumer. You're just worried about hitting a price point. When we all met, Seth's like, look, I want the best products we can make. I've been with a lot of companies. I know they weren't the best products out there. I'm like, music to my ears. I'm like, it's not going to be cheap, but we'll make it affordable. We'll make sure the pricing in line with everybody else in the market. We just won't make as much on the back end, but we'll have repeat customers, which will make us more money in the long run.
You also don't over engineer as well. Like, you have great products, but it's also like Justin said before, like, you don't need most people don't need a 40 ingredient pre-workout. Like, are there 35 other ingredients you could add to hydraulic? Probably.
Oh, absolutely.
One of I joke in the video about hydraulic is nitrosity is my favorite pump product out there, my favorite pump ingredient. You guys don't even use the full 1,500 milligrams. You use 750. It's still extremely effective. And it's funny because I was on the phone with Nutrition 21 yesterday, and I was like, guys, most of the time I tell these companies they got to bump up their dosage, but the fact of the matter is I take 2 scoops of hydraulic and I get an incredible pump. Like, I'm normally a stickler for full doses and stuff like that, but sometimes people know what they're doing,
It's the combination of products. When you're able to use those products together, it's going to maximize 100% that nitrogen.
Mm-hmm.
If you're using nitrogen by itself, you're not going to get the same effect.
Right. I think that's a lot where our education, like Justin and I, and especially Jacob, straight to the consumer as well, really helps out with. There's kind of like Black Swan calls them the goons out there right now. They're like sticklers for 3.2 grams of beta alanine, 5 grams of creatine. Like, you need your exact dosages. And sometimes Justin and I have had to deal with this a decent amount in the last year, having to explain, like, it doesn't always need to be the clinical study dose if the formulator knows what they're doing, which is kind of something we had been talking about this week, is the difference between like these fully loaded pre-workouts or sometimes a little bit more concentrated engineered formulas in the market, because we have a lot of people who think they know everything.
Nope.
It's
I deal with it every day. But the word clinical gets thrown around with the know-it-all. I'm like, well, first of all, you realize that clinical can refer to one trial.
Yeah.
Right.
A single trial. So the fact that clinical trial may or may not have yielded a correlative effect because of said ingredient and at that dose, it's clinical. I know what I'm talking about. That's the,
Yeah, it was the dude's brother that tested it.
I mean,
of course it worked.
Like, if you study an ingredient and it sucks, that ingredient is still clinically studied. You know, you can slap that right in the front of a bottle. The study showed nothing, but it was clinically studied.
Somebody has to look it up.
They got to look it up.
Yeah, we talk about that a lot. It's like, yeah, there's a certain study on citrulline. There's a certain study on nitrosogene. There's a certain study on this. But is there a study on all of these ingredients together? No.
Synergy? No.
Right. So, and you know, that's when like the experience comes into it as well. Is okay, how can we squeeze the most out of this formula while still making it taste good? Because, you know, to flavor it and stuff is becoming more and more difficult. You know, as people, right, I mean, that's what people want. You want to make sure everything sort of fits together. So it's not just about, you know, max dosages of every single ingredient all the time. It's how can you put the entire puzzle together?
Yeah, it's definitely a puzzle piece you got to put together. And part of that too is when we first started, not many companies liked working with other patent ingredient companies. So like, okay, Century Nutrition 21 did not want to work with Compound Solutions. So Pat, you want me to take dynamine and teacrine, and you want to use nitrogen, and you want to use this all together, and you want to put them all in the front of the label? I'm like, yes. And they're like, fuck you.
Right? Yeah.
I'm like, no, we're going to do it. It's going to be good for you guys too. Why not give you notoriety? Plus, it gives our consumers something to look at. You know.
So
and look
I was on a podcast today with someone from the UK, and we talked about exactly that. I said, because he said, you know, in the UK, people work together, and I said, well, that's not how we do it here.
Nope, that's how Australia works. That's how foreign countries, foreign territories actually work. I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with you guys?
I was like, oh yeah, we get together and we talk about these things, and I was like, man, we don't do that shit here, man. I was like, even the fucking reviewers hate each other.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, who from the UK were you podcasting with? Because I know it's not the Review Bros.
Probably Danny.
Yeah, it was Danny from Insight.
Yeah, he was one of our first customers.
Oh yeah. He had a lot of good things to say about you guys.
Good.
You're talking about the Review Bros?
Listen.
No.
Oh man, I'm such a huge fan. I mean, they didn't spam my page 20 times trying to get free product or anything.
I have commented directly on their stuff, calling them out for the bullshit that they post, and they won't even answer me. I will straight up say to them, like, if you talk about research chemicals...
Is my wife saying anything in comments right now? I bet she is.
We're on a little bit of a delay, but I'm expecting in 30
something.
seconds.
She'll say something.
I wanted to touch quickly on the clinical dose, like mongerers again.
Okay.
You know, everybody's so big on clinical dosages until there's an ingredient that they actually feel. Right? So like the clinical dose on glycerol, on like standardized glycerol, is like a gram per pound of body weight in aerobic athletes. But nobody's saying shit about it when you're seeing a 3 to 5 gram dose in pump formulas.
Right.
So I just wanted to point that out there. If anybody's watching or listening, everybody is a stickler until they feel it.
Oh yeah.
Back to whatever. Sorry, I was just thinking.
Yeah, you don't need nearly that much, because all you're wanting that product to do is push the other ingredients through. You know, you want to open up your system to accept those products. You're not using as the main focal point of the ingredients. Yeah, and it has a huge benefit, but you don't need 25 grams.
Yep.
You know, of a glycer pump. Hell, you have so much
shit flowing through your system.
I would not be able to chew.
I was gonna say, like, going back to, you know, we talking about the launch thing. What did you guys actually launch with? Do you remember?
We launched with 4 products: ignition switch,
hydraulic,
grind, demo day.
Oh, demo day and grind.
Demo day, grind.
Big cherries was the only
Double time. Yeah, it was 5.
And then how long until the protein came along?
Oh, it was 6. It was
cinnamon apple farm fed came
Black Friday.
Yeah, November.
Was it Black
like
Friday?
5-6 months later?
6 months, yeah.
And we were supposed to have a limited release of cinnamon apple pie, but then everyone convinced us to keep it.
Yeah, because I was going to say, I know we talked to a lot of people, and they're like, I talked to a lot of small brands, and they're like, oh, I want to release a protein powder. I'm like, why? Like, are you fucking crazy?
You're not going to make any money on it.
No.
Right. I mean,
so you sell 10,000 a month, 20,000 a month. You don't.
Yep.
You're not making money on it.
Especially if you have to store it too.
Right, and shipping and all that good stuff that sort of goes along with it. Yeah.
People went to 5-pounders. You're going to make negative money on the 5-pounders.
You know what's funny too is in the industry, when I talk to category managers for like GNC, bodybuilding.com, Item Shop, they like refer to, well, in the past when I was behind brands, they refer to different companies. They're like, there's protein brands and sports nutrition brands. And there's very few brands that can do both at the same time.
Yeah.
Like I remember when I was going to Vitamin Shop, BPI had like a wall of proteins, and they couldn't sell proteins for shit. They just couldn't sell. Like I don't know what it like. And it was a fine protein. There really wasn't that much wrong with it. It was BPI, but it was okay. And people still just would not purchase it. Cellucor as well. They did their core line of proteins. No one would buy them, no matter what. Cellucor is like the highest selling pre-workout in the world. Couldn't sell proteins. You guys do a pretty good job of bridging the gap between the two.
Well, I think that's because we're not one of those brands. Like I think whenever people create, if I could give any advice to a brand that like this new brand nowadays, it'd be like to find your complete niche and run that direction. If you want to run with protein forever, just create protein and run with it. You might have a product or two that you can, throw side by side with it 2-3 years down the road. But if you got a badass pre-workout, just get behind that thing and just run with it, man. Because it's so difficult to come out with 5 to 15, 20. People try to come out with 30 SKUs and try to run like they're a full-fledged brand from day one. No, you're going to lose your ass. Yeah. You're going to lose your ass on that. So start small as possible.
So Ben, you were talking shit about Review Bros, right?
Oh God. Dude, if you're going to review a product that says research facts on the back of it, like I just have to roast you. Like you're going to tell me this powder that tastes like gummy bears, which is a human food, is not for human consumption. How do you
go ahead, keep going.
How do you like ethically do that? I don't know. Like morally, I would feel terrible about it. Like I'll be the first person to come out and say like I've taken research chemicals, but like that was my own stupid decision, and I knew it was dumb when I was doing it, and I accepted the risks. Like that's just how, like same thing like DMAA. Like Patrick, please tell me, where in America is there pure DMAA that you can purchase and use right now? It doesn't exist.
It does not have.
AccentSledge.com.
I was saying I have some sitting here. I think.
I believe it's located in Georgia somewhere. You could buy some.
There's a Home Depot with the geranium.
The Home Depot.
Yeah. But seriously, like as a purchaser, like what supplier can you call up and get pure? You can't. You can't purchase it. And so if you think that you're like this random brand in the middle of nowhere that is not a reputable brand, and somehow has
I know what you're talking about now.
They have the Silk Road of DMAA. Like they're getting it direct from China. It's legit. It's real. It's not. Like I don't know what it is. It's probably like Yohimbe or something.
I'm sure they're not getting it tested.
I think it's real.
Bitch Yohimbe, they'll know.
Yeah.
Do you ever? I used to
buy it.
I used to take too much. I accidentally took too much Yohimbe one time. I think I talked about this. I took 4 milligrams, 4 to 5 milligrams instead of 2. I thought I was going to shit my pants. I mean, I was throwing up, and I thought I was going to shit my pants if you take too much Yohimbe. Right? So most likely it's just some oddball powder. But those synthetic type products with the DMHA, the DMAA, and the items out there. Again, those are those short-lived companies.
Yeah.
They're going to make a bang for their buck real quick until someone gets a hold of them, and then they're gone. Mm-hmm. So, if you're trying to build a stable company, you have to go a different route. You really do.
I had the one day where I'm like, don't ask me about the shit anymore. Like I'm done. I'm done talking about it. I was like, this is a waste of fucking time. There's so many people out there that, like, one thing we do in the supplement industry is we make it so small. And that's like one cool thing that you guys are doing too is, you have guys, men and women that, like Ben kind of touched on it earlier, might not, they're hardworking. They might not have time to get to the gym that much, but they do care about this stuff too. And they identify with your brand. They might buy products from you, even though they're not big or they don't know who Seth is or something like that. But we have this tendency to make this supplement industry so small when there's billions of people. Look at the Amazon companies that just absolutely murder the supplement industry, like, and make sports nutrition, look like nothing. It's like there's people out there looking for this stuff. And for some reason, we kick ourselves in the nuts every single day, like in this industry, fighting over this tiny, small territory when there's all these people out there looking for help. So I'm like, why am I talking about DMAA with these three dickheads like over here? Like, if I'm going to hang out with a bunch of dickheads, it's going to be you guys. And it's like, I don't like, let's not talk about this stuff anymore. Let's talk about the stuff that actually help people that really care about this stuff. So let's put all this in these assholes that go out there and review research chemical products and talk about them. It's like, get the fuck out of here. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the things that, again, going back to the people that follow us is, we have people that buy supplements. We have people that don't buy supplements. We have people that buy AAR apparel and people that don't. We have people that buy AMN that don't buy AAR and Axe and Sledge. You know, they might buy our greens and vegan protein. But, you know, it's having that type of balancing act within. And I think one of the things we're very good at, it's not ignorance. It's just we put our blinders on. We know our focus. We know our goal. We know what we want to do for our retailers and our direct consumer people, and what information we want to respond with and so forth, that, you know, we're not looking at other companies. We see what they're doing, but it doesn't mean it's going to affect what we're doing. You know, we're going to stay true to that.
I think, Justin, you were mentioning like how people make the supplement industry so small, they want to target these people. One of my like biggest advices to like small to medium brand, large size brands, is to stop looking at Stack 3D. Like, I think that is like, I love Shane. I love Stack 3D. They're fine. They're cool. But like, if you are going to target the people that comment on those posts, you're going to lose every time. Like
the biggest trolls in the world. I don't think any of them that like commented on our product when we sent it to Shane have ever lifted in their entire life. And I have to play that card, the do you even lift? But like it was people commenting about us ripping off C4 for crying out loud. I was like, have you even seen the formula? But aside from that,
yeah,
if you're gonna rip off a pre-workout, it's not gonna be C4.
God no. I mean, they were saying that just what
It goes back to the thing that Ben and we laugh about all the time. I was like, well, Ben does sponsored content and people talk shit about it. We don't do it and people talk shit about what we do. So fuck you people then. I don't care. Like, I don't give a fuck.
Fuck, who gives
it means you're making waves in the industry if you're doing that type of thing and people are giving you shit.
That's why you just gotta believe in what you're doing and just go, man. Just go.
Way more positive negative. That just means people are listening.
Like, I'm looking at 4 squares right now. There's no reason that we'd be on this fucking phone call or whatever we call this nowadays in the new age world if we didn't agree with each of the squares here, right? Like, you guys are all doing the same, like, you're doing it the right way, like, whether it's sponsored or not. As I touched on earlier, did it work for both of us? Fuck yeah, it works for both of us.
There you go.
That's all I care about. Like, if a good person's making money, and if we're making money, let's do it. And if there's no bias involved, let's fucking do it. You know, like, so, I mean, who cares what these other guys are doing, what they're saying, all the bullshit out there, with whether it's Stack 3D or whether it's these dudes in the UK. Who are you kidding? I heard she's good. No, she's not here. No, whatever it might be, it's like, you guys are doing you, and I encourage you at the end of this to just fucking keep doing you, because I know you guys are going to fucking kill it the long run.
Yeah,
I hope we do too.
Once I started like ignoring the hate or like kind of enjoying it, realizing that like it means that I'm doing things right, like I was so much happier and I'm so much more successful. You know, I have one very loyal subscriber that will watch. He'll probably watch the full 2 hours of this video and like leave comments, like breaking down all the things that we were wrong on. He's one of Justin's subscribers as well. And I used to really get bent out about it, but like, you know what? They're watching, they're giving me a view, they're giving me engagement.
Not a subscriber. No. No.
Is it Robert?
It's definitely Robert. Probably, No, Robert's too cheap to subscribe to our app.
It's always a blessing when he just like jumps in randomly to a feed on the Snoop group. Like, I'm like, where have you been? Like, dude.
He doesn't do shit. Like, don't let him fool you. Like, he's not. He tries to talk. Yeah, he tries to talk like when I'm on podcasts with him about like, you know, I've been busy all day writing content. I was like, dude, come on, man.
Show it to me. I think we took him for a loop a couple of times when we were on with him.
Yeah, I never spoken to him before our podcast together.
The podcast that was awesome. I liked it.
I watched it.
I mean, it's like, see, that was like the only podcast I've ever watched. It didn't have me on it. That's how much I love you guys.
And he made sure you weren't on it.
Right?
What's up with that, dude?
Yeah, he's like, oh yeah, can you? I know you're gone at this time of day. Hey, in 3 minutes, can you jump on with Mike? And I'm like, no, dude, I can't. Fuck. You know, that's my buddy right there.
Yeah.
So I kind of have an interesting question for you guys. In terms of like putting your faces out there, you guys showed up on one podcast for Axe and Sledge, but for the most part on the branding, Seth and Bob kind of show themselves the most. Like, was that like your choice to not put your faces out there as much? Like I have, like, for instance, Heather on our team does not get on video very much, but she writes a ton. She's very more comfortable that way. Are you guys not really interested in being shown so much? Or is it your choice? Like, what is it?
It's the fear of our partners.
They're threatened by us.
They're threatened. Yeah. When we really get going, we get going. If you noticed in the last podcast we were on with Seth and Bob, the last half hour were Mike and I.
This is not true. Well, no.
You got to make them feel like they're bringing something to the table.
That podcast was 3 hours.
No, at least.
I watched all of it, just so you know. I did. I loved it. It was enjoyable. But
well, they cut a good hour of it.
Really?
Oh yeah.
No, it's they did cut an hour for sure. But no, I mean, like, we all have our roles, and from the very beginning, we had our specific roles, and it's nothing that we ever like put on paper or anything like that. We just knew what we did best.
That's good.
Pat and I together are really great at running the business behind the scenes. We've done that forever with our own businesses before this, and we're really great at communicating and just running a team and developing a team. Those two are just great at what they do, and that's in the gym, that's talking to people, that's meet and greets, that's telling people about what they're doing, that's the podcast. I mean, those two are just infectious. I mean, they really are. They're two greatest guys we've ever met outside of us two, and Justin.
And the people.
Yeah. But no, I mean, like, we're all best friends. We know how much time it takes, and it's better that those two take them as much time as they do doing their thing. And it's just literally 40 feet away from us as we're doing our thing, 40 feet away from them. As soon as they're done doing their thing in the morning, we're all together in the same room for the rest of the day, figuring things out, and predicting the future as best we can. But no, like, we've never ever thought we'd be doing any podcasts or any. It just so happened to be that we met you guys, and we're the ones that deal with you guys, and we enjoy it. So.
Yeah, I mean, and they associate with a lot of the consumers, the community of the people that we have. Where Mike and I, if we're at the Arnold Classic, we're at the Hyatt. We're talking to the international people at the Olympia. We're talking to you guys.
Fucking Arnold Classic, man.
Right, exactly. Tell me about it. We had a
awesome.
guest. We had a big booth.
Pissed about that.
But yeah, we do a lot of that back end portion of meeting with the ingredient manufacturers, box, trucking services, all the things that no one wants to talk about or hear about, unless they're running a business.
Because listen, if Bob and Seth could have created a supplement company, could they have? Sure, they definitely could have. Could me and Pat have? Yeah, we did. But what if Pat and I did what we were best at? What if Bob and Seth did what they were best at? That's where the magic happened. That's where the perfect storm just came together. And that's where those two were able to free up their time, not to figure out the distribution portion of the business, how to fucking pack orders, how to get people, how to get warehouse space, how to get everything efficiently done to where we can make this all affordable and everybody make money. Freeing up those guys' time and them freeing up our time from thinking about how to sell things just created this animal that is for dickheads.
I mean, that's awesome though, to be able to build a team that manages each aspect of it. Because myself, like being very small business, like one retail store, I have to wear every hat. So like I'm very much like, I'm desperate for the days where I can cultivate that team. So I look up to that. I'll definitely.
I mean, you're a one-man wrecking crew, which it's. I mean, how often is that even possible? I mean, it's fucking huge credit to you to be able to even do that, because that is.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying it's a good thing. It's just definitely one of those things. Like, I would love to, I need to grow past that point, I think.
There's a lot of people though, like in what Mike said earlier about like it being a situation maybe that just shouldn't happen, because there's a lot of pressure. You want to take, or you want to work with your buddies. I'm going to start a business with my best friend. Well, you're probably too much alike. So you bring the same skills to the table. You're not doing shit. So now you're splitting up. You're really not bringing anything. So like you said, the perfect storm where not only are you guys friends and like a family, but you bring different skills to the table. That stuff doesn't happen. So there's pressure. There was pressure on me for a long time. People wanting to come on board, and I'm like, man, I can't do all this. And like Jacob, you're talking about the same thing, but to bring the right people on board is more important than just growing and bringing people on.
Right.
Because like you said, you guys sort of have like a perfect situation here that you have really good relationships. You're like a family, but you bring different skills to the table. It's like unheard of.
Yeah, and that's the one thing I tell anybody that's running a business. You'll know when you're ready for that next person. Just make sure it's the right person and understand the value of that person. How much time is that going to free you up throughout the day to do additional duties to increase sales in your business?
Right.
And that was one of the things Mike and I are very good at. We knew when we needed more people. We don't just hire somebody to say, hey, we have another body.
Yep.
Yeah.
We don't do that. We won't do that. We have a very strategic and direct crew that we have around us, and they're busy all the time. And it takes things off our plate where we say, okay, here, even during these times where they're working from home, we're constantly on messaging with them, and they understand and they report back, and they free up so much of our time that we're able to develop new products, come out with new strategies, come out with a new release on AAR, do more content, and so forth. So, when that happens, you can feel it. And then, but most people don't see the end result. Like, okay, I'm going to hire this person, Jacob, we're going to hire someone to assist me with the books and do this, A, B, and C. All right, that just freed up 4 hours of my day. Now, with those 4 hours, it's what you do with them.
Right.
On how that increases your business to another level. Who knows? It might be a second store. Now, all of a sudden, you double your funds. Oh, shit. Now we're doing.
Or it's an investor that comes in.
Investor,
like, hey, here's
right.
50 grams, start your next store for you. I'm going to take 50% of it. Okay, well, I know how to fucking kill it already. I've done it once.
Right.
Right.
I have the people in place to help.
That's the hard part for myself is having all of those roles and trying to figure out which one do I need to cut short with, to hire it out, right? Like, which one do I feel confident in replacing my ability with somebody else's? So, but that's, that's business 101. Like, that's something for a different seminar-esque, but yeah. So
which one don't you like the most?
Yeah. Well,
which task
which
don't
one
you like the most?
We can talk about that for the next 24 hours. We'd be into it.
Yeah.
We
I'm all
love
about that
stuff.
shit.
Yeah.
I watched on you guys' channel on YouTube like a tour of your businesses, and I was blown away by how large it is. Because some companies in this industry like to hire people just to tell everyone that they've hired someone and brag about their employees. Justin knows what I'm talking about. So let's just talk about, I hired a person.
Don't waste that.
Got it. Didn't waste any.
But when I was watching your company tour, I was like, I had no clue they had all these people. I mean, it's just incredible. You guys are humble. It's really nice.
Oh, we appreciate that. I mean, I don't know. It's what we preach every single day. So it's like, why the fuck would we show? And Seth goes back and forth between Seth does very well for himself. And, everybody does well for himself in this industry, shows exactly how well they do for themselves. And that's just sort of not how we are, because we just keep putting everything back into it to do better for ourselves in the future. But even that tour that we did, I think it's the one I was thinking about 6 months ago, maybe, where he went from building to building. It's about half of what we need, honestly. And that says a lot, because I think there was 4 buildings probably comprising of about 60,000 square feet. And the people that we talked to every single day were just like, in the demo crew, it's like, hey, Mike, when's the lifting belts get back in stock? And I'll answer them like, hey, we're looking at like 15, 20 days back in stock. And I think a lot of them may not know the magnitude of the business, because we keep it a small business. No matter how big it's ever going to get, we're always going to keep it a small business in like a it's a small business feel, I guess. And I hope like when we do a tour one day, you know, even if it is bigger or whatever it might be, I hope everybody always gets that small business feel, that mom and pop feel from us, because I mean, if they're not, then we've done something wrong or we've lost our way. But no, I appreciate you saying that you were surprised, but I think most people would be surprised by the I guess the manpower that we employ and the square footage that we hire, I guess.
Well, it's great. You guys, like, there's a kid in one of the loading bays at one point.
That was
like,
mine.
Yeah. Like, it was,
yeah.
it's so natural. Like, it's just so, it's, I don't know, so homey. And like what you're saying, people in this industry are well off of themselves, but they show it in certain ways. And this might come back to me being biased towards you guys because I relate to you guys. But like, it's funny. The other day, Bob, that bias, man. It really
Bias.
Wow. Bob posted a photo on Instagram, and it was like his car in front of like a whole bunch of land. It's something nice, and I was like, see, like I appreciate that way more than a Lamborghini in Boca Raton. You know,
Right.
it's so much more relatable for a lot of people because it's closer to what we might desire, we might like feel close to. So it's just, I don't know, you guys have a different feel, and I think it's very welcome in this industry. Like you said, with rented cars or if they're owned. A lot of that stuff, I don't think people really care about anymore.
I guess somehow we're fortunate enough to, I guess, just be ourselves and people accept us for who we are. I think that's the bottom line at the end of the day, is that we've been accepted for who we are. In an industry that doesn't accept people like us or like Bob and Seth for being, you know, we call ourselves, you know, Western Pennsylvania Hicks or whatever it might be, but luckily people have taken to it, because if they didn't take to it, then we wouldn't have been successful, because we wouldn't have changed and done a really cool new graphic to make people content to buy stuff from us. Like, like the graphics we put out, the videos we put out, it's literally just what our dumb fucking heads come up with. That day. You know, I mean,
so bad.
It's there's nothing else to it. It's not a marketing company behind it. It's just
like
for somewhat creative people.
just like homemade.
Yeah, I was gonna say that it for sure. That was the most DMs I got, was people sending me that video.
Yeah.
Like, did you see what these guys did? I was like, yeah, I saw.
Yeah, Darcel is a great friend of mine for several years, like 12, 15 years, and he's our shipping manager at the time.
You're right.
And then Seth, so, you know, double chocolate brownie and sweet potato pie.
That actually isn't my favorite piece of content from you guys. My favorite is the S'mores Farm Fed, the awkward commercial.
The uncut version?
I laughed my ass off. Just like that awkward, like it, like just like he like put it on the camera. I don't know why I was laughing so hard. I sent it to like 5 people. They were like, "Ben, this isn't that fun. It's funny. It's not that fun." I was dying. I was just losing.
That was funny as shit.
That's just us every day. That's the thing,
Yeah.
though. You know, we do have our part 1 of The Office video premiere. You know, it's like 20, 25 minutes that'll come up eventually. But
Yeah, our office every single day is so much funnier, actually. But it's just not all politically correct or able to be viewed. But one of these days we'll actually film everything that happens and then get it cut up and sent out to the YouTubes.
Yeah, well, I think like I don't know. I guess when it comes to me, like when people ask a lot of I don't know if Justin gets these questions, but they ask me a lot, like, are these people actually this way? And I haven't met you guys yet, but one of the other ones that I get asked a lot about, because I'm friends with them as well, is Ghost. They ask because they have a lot of YouTube like you guys do. Are they actually that way? And they said the same exact thing that Patrick just said, I think. Because like, this is literally just what we think of. We just do it. Like I had this wild idea to make supplements that look like sneakers, and I just did it. And people just like it, you know. And I think that when these companies partner up with some huge marketing design firm to come up with stuff that focus groups enjoy, and that, you know, it's received well by these different test groups, it comes across so inauthentic to me, and no one actually really likes it.
Yeah, the feel goes away.
Yeah.
And I think people are starting to realize it quicker and quicker nowadays. Whenever they see something like that, it's just played out. I mean, you need an angle. You have to have an angle.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, I mean, like, eventually, you know, you can get up there and you can say, oh, this product is just amazing. This is the best, you know, but people are going to find out. Like, they're going to go and buy that, and then they're going to be like, well, you're full of shit. Like, that didn't work. Then I'm going to go find another company. But if you can really guide someone, like, I know of someone ask me like about certain things and they ask me about Axe and Sledge, I can be like, you're not going to make a bad purchase by going to them. Not only are you going to get a good product, I was like, but you're buying into a really cool system where you're going to get support moving forward. You might be a demo crew member someday. Fuck, you might be a sponsored athlete down the road. You never know. It's a whole thing you're sort of buying into. And it's like what Ben talking about Ghost. And so when you see people sort of try to rip it off, it's like, well, that's not going to work. Like, that's them. How you just stick to what you're doing. But that's why it's like, people are going to find out eventually. And that's what we're living in now, is word travels so fast that it's really hard to fake it, at this point without sort of being exposed for being a fraud. And that's sort of where, we try to step in. And it's like, well, I can't guarantee that everything that you try from Axe and Sledge is going to be your favorite product, but I guarantee you're going to at least like it. You're going to, like, let's start you off here, like, at least, and you're going to have a good experience. You're going to be taken care of by the people there. You're going to get good customer service, the whole 9 yards. And that's the least we can do for people, is to get them started. Because a lot of people that are searching for supplements, I always say it, they're thinking bigger than my workout. These are people that are trying to improve some aspects of their lives. They're, it's a very, like I say all the time, it's a very like intimate kind of thing, a very personal thing, taking supplements and working out and stuff like that. So when you see companies like what you guys are doing and providing things for people to do that, to be better employees or bosses or husbands or wives or brothers or sisters, and it's just, how can I not be biased towards that?
Yeah, I appreciate
It's
that
twice
so
two
much.
biases.
Yeah.
I'll never say I'm unbiased, because that's bullshit.
I'm gonna start hashtagging bias.
I'm biased.
Totally
I'm biased.
We're biased.
I'm biased to Axe and Sledge.
Oh, that's awesome.
No,
It's funny. You said this is an intimate thing. It is very revealing, and I don't. When we see people, I see it at Axe and Sledge a lot in their Facebook group, posting like, "This is my transformation." It is very intimate, and you're kind of looking into a certain insecurity of theirs that they've overcome or fixed, and it's funny. You don't think of going to the gym as like an intimate thing. You think of it as a manly thing, but when we sit down and talk about it, it is very intimate.
Yep. That's why I'm looking forward to traveling out there and getting intimate with you guys sometime. As soon as Corona, because I know Mike, we had talked about it right before like everything went down. I was like, I would love to get out there and
Getting on the podcast for
show
sure.
Yeah. And great, because then I can watch it afterwards, because I'll be on it. So
Yeah, there we go.
I extended the invite to Ben as well. So, we were looking to have something in the summer, but with the pandemic, we have to push it back, for a big meet and greet and all that in Pittsburgh. But now it's just up in the air until everything gets opened.
Yeah,
we can see how we can work that out.
I'd love to be part of it. I think you guys have such a cool, interesting group of people. And I bet, do you guys have a lot of local love out there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd love to have you guys in just to like see what we have going on, because as much as we can talk about it, or as much as like you can see it, no matter where it's at, I think you can't really experience it until you're here. You need to see all the people and just take it all in. It's a different experience. It's a different experience like when you go to the Arnold. It's a different experience when you come here to Axe and Sledge, AAR, AMN headquarters. It's just all love and a ton of hard work. It's that's why we do what we do. So
it's fun.
Yeah.
It's got to be fun.
And nobody knows exactly how cool it is. So I love people to come in and see it. Because I don't want to put it on camera and put it out there. I just love it. People come and see it for themselves.
Well, we're running out on 2 hours, and I know this is when Jacob starts getting hungry for his chicken and rice. So,
my bro senses are tingling, man. I was about to make vacation plans to come up there and see the Axe and Sledge headquarters. I was figuring that one out over here. So,
yeah, I'm calling my travel agent.
Absolutely, you're welcome anytime.
The next roundtable's up here.
Hell yeah.
Nope. Yeah, let's do that.
I think Justin and if Jacob wants to come, could give a good run for the money on that big table of yours with your podcast. I think we can make some fun talks.
There you go.
So.
Fucking great. Go down.
I have to say, the biggest moment though for me watching your podcast was like the moment that Bob was comfortable pulling a joint out on the podcast. We all knew what was in the pen. We knew what the vape on the table was. We heard them talking about getting tuned up, but then when it came out, I was like, this is revolutionary. This is next level shit. Yeah.
He was so patient with that.
He was.
Yeah.
He was. Well, why do you think Pineapple Express is coming out? The flavor.
Oh my God.
Well, he had to wait until so gymnastics is like attached to our gymnastics facility is attached to our big building. So like the first time he ever did it was before gymnastics was in there, and with ventilation you could smell it over there. So once gymnastics had shut down for the year because of problems, he was given free rein just to go ahead and hop in there and light her up. So
that's so funny.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Are you guys going to make a gaming supplement? Because the amount of streaming talk you guys have been talking about. All right, I saw the smile. You don't have to say it. I don't know. As someone who absolutely, as a meathead that absolutely sucks at Warzone, it's been very validating to watch bringing Seth into it, because I feel like him and you guys when I play with my friends.
Yeah. I mean, you never know.
Yeah. Cool. Well, I
don't know. We'll see what happens.
We'll ask the guys upstairs.
Yeah, we'll see what happens in a month or two.
Awesome. Well, I got to sign off soon, so I'm going to say thank you guys so much for.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, no, it was
a great time. Yeah, great time. I thought this was going to be awful based on the three guys we were talking to. So.
Don't blame him.
And it
we
was.
never have content to talk about.
No way is that depressing.
Did we get anything accomplished?
No.
No,
I mean, you guys.
One of our meetings at work.
Yeah. Honestly, I feel like I learned a lot. I mean, having you guys on this show, I'm over here taking notes, so I really appreciate it.
Appreciate you,
I
brother.
look forward to learning a lot more.
I didn't write down anything.
Well, yeah, I picked up some things that I could grow from. But
I recorded this.
Justin knows everything.
Hey, Jacob, you can always reach out. We're always available. So
yeah, dude. Good job.
Feel free with any questions, anything you need. Just let us know.
Yeah,
I'll see if I can get in that Accent Sledge group. I don't know how to do it, but
Nope.
Yeah, I filled the request. But
invite his wife.
Nope.
Yeah. Invite his Latino heat.
Latino heat coming in hot.
Awesome.
Everyone at our warehouse has nicknames, so it's just the way it is. And we just happened to be out there with Justin, and we nicknamed his wife Latino Heat in Vegas.
You have no idea how accurate that was immediately. Like, you guys picked up on that quick. That was impressive.
Pretty good at it, yeah.
Yeah,
Brandon,
you're pros.
Brandon 101.
All right, awesome. No, we appreciate everybody's time tonight.
Yeah, thank you guys so much.
thank you guys.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to whatever we can do this summer up there. We can all get
Awesome.
together.
Oh, we'll definitely have to do that.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much for joining.
All right,
Yeah,
have a great
boys.
night.
See y'all.
See you guys.